Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Sarah here from Mysteries with Sarah, and today I've got another true crime murder mystery type story to tell you, but it is very gruesome, and I would say that viewer discretion is definitely advised. This is the story of the Butcher of Pine Hollow. Before we get into the story, if you could please just leave a like, thumbs up, and consider subscribing to the channel. That helps me out so much. So, in Pine Hollow, West Virginia, wasn't the kind of place that made headlines. It was sort of a sleepy Appalachian town where everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew each other's dogs by name even. Friday night football was a religion, and the woods wrapped the town, kind of just keeping it in, where everybody knew everybody. But in the fall of 2006, Pine Hollow's quiet charm was shattered forever. A young woman named Melissa Carpenter, on October 3rd of that year, she was just 19, she was hitchhiking her way to Morgantown for a job interview. Witnesses saw her being picked up by a delivery truck on Route 19 near the old Henderson Mill. That was the last anyone would see of Melissa. 4 days later, Ruthie Gallows, a 67-year-old retired nurse known for walking her beagle every morning at sunrise, didn't return from her usual route. Her dog was found 2 hours later, leash torn off his neck, circling the dirt road near the woods in a frenzy. So they knew that something bad had to have happened to her. And then came Carter Briggs, and that would be the break in the case. He was 32 years old, and he was a produce delivery driver for Red's Market. His GPS from his phone pinged for the last time on October 14th, placing him right near the old Vane property, a crumbling two-story farmhouse that was veiled in vines and kind of just taken over by greenery. Had a bunch of shadowed, towering oaks on the property, and it kind of wasn't well maintained at all. But the sheriff of the town, Sheriff Hank Tolliver, a grizzled man who had served Pine Hollow for 3 decades, finally started connecting the dots. All 3 disappearances happened in a 10-mile radius. All 3 happened near the property of Ellis Vane. He was a man that had been whispered about for years. And the discovery around his home would be gruesome. His family once ran the largest butcher shop in the region back in the 1960s, but after a fire destroyed the shop and killed his younger brother, Ellis withdrew from society. He never left the property that we knew of. He never spoke more than a grunt to anybody. But on October 17, 2006, under the cover of morning fog, Sheriff Tolliver and 2 of his deputies drove up the winding gravel road to Ellis's home, a warrant in hand and a search team ready. The first sign of something wrong came from the pig pen. When they walked over to it, they seen the massive pigs, pink flesh beasts, and they were just squealing in a frenzy as the officers approached. The stench was unbearable. Among the piles of bones, something caught Deputy Ray's eye. A gnawed human hand, gnawed pale and embedded in the mud. Inside the house was like stepping into a whole other nightmare. The air was thick with the reek of rot and bleach. Human hair clung to the drain in the bathroom sink. In the living room, the couch cushions were made of sewn together leather that, on closer inspection, had tattoos. In the kitchen was the centerpiece, a dinner table set for 3. Each chair was covered in human skin, and on the wall, human ears were nailed into a sickening pattern resembling a smile. And in the basement freezer, the truth could no longer be denied. Inside were human remains, sorted like butcher cuts, torsos wrapped in butcher paper, limbs were labeled. One package actually read, "Ruthie Sweet," on it. When they found Ellis, he was barefoot, sitting on the porch, just sharpening a knife. He didn't run, didn't speak, just kept sharpening this knife. Finally, when they said something to him, he looked up and said, "Took you long enough," as if to mock them. At the station, his calm demeanor never wavered. When asked why he did it, he responded, "You eat cows, I eat people. Don't see much difference." Over several hours of confession, Ellis painted a picture of a life derailed by trauma, isolation, and obsession. The first killing he claimed was in 1998. It was a trespasser who broke into his barn. He killed him in a panic and then curiosity took over. He bled the body, butchered it, and with a horrifying lack of remorse, cooked it and had it for dinner. That night, he claimed that he slept better than ever before. It escalated from there. Once or twice a year, he would lure or catch someone like a hitchhiker, a loner, just somebody he thought that wouldn't be missed from town. And he kept meticulous notes in a leather-bound journal with sketches, tasting notes, even preferred recipes. He described the process like art: skinning, cleaning, preserving. He made belts, he made lampshades, and all kinds of different decorations out of his victims. Every part of them was used. The trial of Ellis Vane began in April of 2007 and drew national attention. Every seat in the county courthouse was filled. Media swarmed the tiny town, and no one had ever seen anything like it. Prosecutors presented very damning evidence: the labeled body parts, DNA matches, forensic journal entries, and even a preserved human heart found stuffed inside a jar of pickles in Ellis's pantry. He showed no remorse whatsoever. He even smiled when the photos were shown. Forensic psychologists evaluated him and concluded that while he exhibited extreme psychopathic traits, he was legally sane and able to stand trial. But he knew and had full knowledge of right from wrong. He just simply did not care. Families of the victims sobbed as they heard what he had done to their loved ones. The jurors, they couldn't even look at Ellis. After 3 hours of deliberation, they found him guilty on all counts: 7 murders, desecration of human remains, and cannibalism. He was sentenced to 7 life terms to be served consecutively with no chance of parole. He did not flinch. "You lock away monsters," he said, "but sometimes the monster is all that's left." So after the trial, Pine Hollow was never the same. As you can imagine, the Vane property was bulldozed, the land left just to rot. Locals claim they still hear screaming from the woods at night. Some swore that the pigs got loose and bred in the forest, creating a feral swarm. The story inspired documentaries, books, and even a banned indie film titled Cuts of Vane. But no amount of media coverage could erase what horror had happened, and Ellis Vane remains at Black Hollow Penitentiary. He's in solitary confinement and only gets to come out for 2 hours a week. Occasionally, he writes letters to journalists, often describing recipes, sometimes begging for a taste test. All are intercepted, though. And yet, even locked away, his shadow hangs over the hills of Pine Hollow. No one can forget. Some say that evil can be buried, but others know that in the dark, it always finds a way back. So that will do it for today's story. Like I said, if you've got something out of today's story, please consider subscribing to the channel and leave a like. And until the next one, stay safe and always trust your gut. Till the next one, bye guys.